And Thursday morning, everyone, welcome to the Ohio History Center. We are here for Facebook Live, not our usual destination for Facebook Lives, but this being a special event, Ohio Champion of Sports, the exhibit being previewed for the media today. It opens Saturday. I'm Dave Purpura. This is my co-worker, Frank DiRenna. We've been lucky enough, along with Andy Resnick, behind the camera to check this out for the last hour or so. This is a neat thing. You and I are big sports fans, specifically baseball fans, but we love history and we love sports. This has been really interesting.
I mean, if you love sports, every sport's here. Soccer, football, baseball, the major sports, and professional, college, prep sports, everything. It's quite amazing.
When we came in here, when we looked around for a while, it's like I'm not even sure where to begin in looking at this place. They have several different themes. They preview and talk about, not preview, but talk about sports all around the state. Anything in particular that stood out to you so far? I know obviously there's a ton that we've seen in the last hour or so.
People probably forget the history of Ohio, that they started a lot of sports. Football was big here back in the early 1900s, baseball with the Reds. Like I said, football started in Canton. So I think just the history of people, some people might not recall that started there.
And I guess the object of these kinds of things is to teach you things you don't know. I mean, there were things, honestly, I didn't know. I didn't know John Heisman was from Ohio. If that name sounds familiar, there's a good reason for that, because of the Heisman Trophy. Scott Hamilton, I didn't know that, the figure skater, longtime commentator, was born in Toledo. Did you notice anything offhand to you that you didn't know before you came in here?
The president, was it President Taft, I believe, threw out the first pitch back in 1910. First time Ohio president's ever done that. He's from Ohio, Cincinnati. And we're sitting right here in front of the Tressel, Coach Tressel, and his vest here, sweater vest. I'm sure football fans must love this.
Most, anyway. And we have a Youngstown State sweater vest back behind him. Also something in this that I found very interesting. There's a notebook here. It might be a little bit out of view. From August 24th, 1978. It's Woody Hayes' notebook. It just talks about philosophies, attitude, our Buckeye Leaf system. You are either getting better or you are getting worse. You are never, ever staying the same. 1978 was kind of a fateful year.
Months before the infamous Gator Bowl.
Yes, it was. Yeah, about 4 months before he and Charlie Bauman had their unfortunate meeting. I was 5 months and 8 days old when he wrote that in there on August 24th, 1978. There's a picture of Paul Brown from when he was coaching in 1952. I believe that was during the time that he was coaching the Cleveland Browns. Back at that time, obviously no coincidence. The team was named after him. There's a picture behind that of Paul Brown, and talks about his son Mike, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals fans like me, sometimes we've had some tough years recently. But it covers everything. Just, all sorts of sports, anything you can think of.
For basketball fans, LeBron James' rookie jersey is on display. Quite a bit of the Cavaliers. Quite interesting.
A lot of Cincinnati Red stuff. Of course, the Big Red Machine back in the 70s. Noticed Johnny Bench and Pete Rose's jerseys, among a couple different colors. A lot of Cleveland Indians memorabilia as well. Some from Chief Wahoo things, just pictures of their stadiums that they've played in variously. They were saying this is about 18 months in the making. I can only imagine what a large undertaking this was.
Yeah, the staff has been quite welcoming, and like you said, quite a bit of work to get this put together. And I'm sure they need help from the area sports teams and the teams throughout Ohio.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just the undertaking to get all this sorts of memorabilia. I mean, and just the photos that we're looking at. You got to worry about getting those things. Just a great thing. It's going to be open for a while. It opens, as we said, on Saturday. So try to get down here to the Ohio History Center. It's just north of the fairgrounds, if you're not sure where it is, just south of Crew Stadium, Mafre Stadium, here off of 71 and off of 17th Avenue. Be a good way to spend some time this summer.
I'm sure families would love to bring their kids here. Kids can learn quite a bit about Ohio.
Yes, they can, and they can shoot some hoops off to our right here. I did not do very well. I could have used some of the players that we had playing last night and the next couple of days to help me with some shooting tips. Certainly looking at that. It's funny that they advertise that you can't write the history of sports without Ohio, and it's really, you don't realize exactly how true that is. I mean, Jack Nicklaus, we haven't even mentioned him yet.
Yeah, I'm sure he's here. I didn't see him, but I'm sure he's here somewhere in this way.
I did see a photo somewhere, a couple of some golf implements talking about open a near-field village with a memorial tournament, which I know, I believe you've done some things. Sure. Obviously, you're a big golf fan as well.
And then for the locals, Cleveland Browns fans, I know they've had a couple big days here the last 2 or 3 days, and there's a display for the dog pound.
Oh, okay. I did not see that, actually. And you got to think things are certainly on the upswing for them as Mr. Resnick behind the camera, among many others' hopes over here over the next several years. Well, it's been a busy time, and that's something that mid-March always is. You know, the basketball tournaments are in full swing right now. The girls' state tournament begins, actually, I believe it might already be underway over at Value City Arena, and we will talk about that momentarily. There were some boys' games last night as well. Pickerington North, in a game that I covered, Hunter Shedenhelm had one of his best games ever. He had 28 points, 16 in the third quarter, and they beat Newark 61-46, and North is into a regional final. They've punched their ticket.
They're just on a roll. They're playing, I guess they got hot at the right time, and I'm sure down the road they're looking forward to maybe a rematch with Pitt Central.
And that
third time this season.
And that will be decided tonight. Olentangy Liberty and Pickerington Central will play in the second regional semifinal over at Ohio Dominican. And I say second because it's the second in as many days. There's only one game tonight. Central comes in only having lost one game all year. They were the fourth seed. They were the third seed in the district. Liberty was the fourth seed in the district. Olentangy Liberty with Ben Roderick, Nick DeCazian, they've been on a roll all year too.
Coach Naskin's doing a great job. I mean, they were hurt early in the year, but they've got their key games back now, and you can see they're playing their best basketball right now. They were very impressive against Davidson.
I've heard some observers say, you know, some of our colleagues, just some fans, they think Liberty might be the team to beat to get out of this region. I mean, you saw them play Hilliard Davidson. Any thoughts on that?
Like you said, Roderick kid, he's just sensational. He's got a great cast around him, and their shooting was great against Davidson, and it was. I think they have a shot to maybe advance further.
I'm really curious to see how this game plays out tonight. I'll be covering it for This Week Sports, and I'll have a recap online after. Pick Central won its district final over Reynoldsburg 50-49. They are certainly a team that is capable of getting out and running and scoring 70 and 80 points. Liberty's district final with Davidson, I believe, was in that similar scoring range, what, 60s to 50s, I want to say.
I think they might lower. They want to keep it down. Mm-hmm. That's their style. And I'm sure that's their game plan for Central.
So more of a deliberate thing on the part of Liberty as well, it sounds like that.
I would think so, yeah.
All right, and we will see how that works out. The regional final will be at 2 o'clock on Saturday. That's earlier than it's been in recent years. 2 o'clock at Ohio Dominican on Saturday, Pickerington North against tonight's winner. We do have some boys' games, and also we don't want to forget to mention as well, we have some other division games tonight. Division 2, Hartley is playing down in Kettering Fairmont against Dayton Northridge. Harvest Prep's boys won last night, I believe, so they're on to their regional final as well. And then you look at the girls. We've got 2 girls teams left. Afrocentric plays this afternoon. They take on Berlin Highland in a state semifinal at 1. You could make a good argument that they are the best team in the state, regardless of division. Certainly one of the best teams, obviously.
They're just playing amazing right now. The way they're just rolling right now. And you mentioned Pick Central. I mean, their first 4 or 5 games have average winning margin has been about 50 points.
Yeah.
They haven't been challenged yet. Maybe they'll get a challenge eventually, but I just don't see it right now.
And you know, they are such a balanced lineup. They were very good last year en route to their first state championship. Madison Green, Malia Perry are going to Penn State and Auburn, respectively. But just, I mean, their inside play, they don't have the size that they had last year, but Jada Tate, Lori Schmidt just made a basket, speaking of Pickerington, our good friend from WTVN. Even though they lost those big presences, they're still so balanced. I mean, they can beat you in any number of ways.
They played South in the district regional semifinal last week, and Southers had 7-0, and I think they thought they were maybe call the upset. And Central won by about 40 points over there.
It was a 10-2 start for South in that game.
Yeah.
Central was kind of trapping in the half court, and then once they went full court, that pretty much sealed it. I think it was something like a 25-1 run.
25-1. That was South's problem all year. They just couldn't handle pressure defense. And, But they've got some kids coming back next year. Hopefully they'll be back.
Well, and we saw that with Reynoldsburg on Friday night in the regional final, too. I mean, Central, I believe that final score was 66-39. That as well. Reynoldsburg had the tough time handling that pressure as well. And we'll see what they do against Toledo Notre Dame. I mean, that's a team that pulled off an upset of Camp McKinley, 40-38 the other night. Jayla Johnson is their senior point guard. She averages about 15 points a game. They've got a real good freshman as well, Grace Van Slooten, who averages about 11 points and 8 rebounds. So we'll see if that's a good matchup, or a tough matchup, maybe I should say, for the Tigers, a good matchup for Notre Dame. We'll see what they're able to do. Central seeking its second state title, 8th overall. They're kind of back to that lofty status again.
Is there pressure trying to go back-to-back, you think? Or?
You know, I've asked them about that recently, and it just seems like that's something they're completely embracing. They're not really even thinking about last year. And it's kind of funny, I'm bringing another sport into this, but I was out talking to DeSales lacrosse yesterday. They won a state title last year. I asked some of their guys about it. They didn't even want to talk about it. They said, you know what, that's last year. We don't care about that anymore. They want to forget about it. Even though it's something you take an immense amount of pride in, it's still something you really can't rest on your laurels, I guess. It sure hasn't hurt Afrocentric either, as good as they've been. Jordan Horston, who's the state player of the year in Division III, nationally renowned player. They play Berlin Highland at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see what they can do. I mean, they've got, what, 8 players holding scholarship offers, I believe.
Yeah, she's going to Tennessee, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Alexia Smith is second team all-state. So Jordan doesn't do it by herself. She definitely has some help.
They've outscored their opponents 75-30 on average. You talked about Pick Central's impressive margin of victory. Of course, you know, and you include in that they beat Dublin Coffin by 43 points earlier in the year. I personally, I was telling our editor Lee Cochran this last week, I don't remember a lower division team, and I mean lower only in terms of classification, beating a Division I team like that. I don't think I've ever seen it.
I've never seen it.
Yep, and we'll see how they do the next couple of days here. Berlin Highland, of course, a power out of Northeast Ohio. The other 2 teams in the girls' side of things in Division III are Waynesville and Doylestown Chippewa, a couple of teams that you've heard about over the years from up in Northeast Ohio. The rest of the Division I field is Canton Glen Oak and Cincinnati Mount Notre Dame. Well, Frank, it's been a fun one. Hopefully we're not forgetting anything. Obviously, boys basketball state tournament is next week, and we'll be back to talk about that. But it's a fun time of the year, and it's a busy time of the year because we're starting to transition to spring.
I guess we should mention Grandview last night.
Yes, we should. They lost.
Down by 15 after 3. They came back and cut it to 1 and had a chance to win the game. So a great season for them, and hopefully they'll be back next year.
They were up at Bowling Green in the Division III regional. Hartley will be up there. Hartley's in Dayton tonight. Columbus South is playing at Bowling Green. We didn't mention them as well. They were the top seed in Division II in the district tournament, but they're up at the BG regional tonight. And then you have Hartley that's playing down in the Dayton area.
Who's coming out with an emotional win?
50-48 over DeSales on Saturday, and that was a good game. Hartley was up by about 11 with about 3 minutes left. DeSales with a great run. Unfortunately for them, they missed some free throws. I believe they missed their last 4. Morgan Safford had a great outlet pass to Colby Rankin, drains a 3 right at the buzzer, 50-48, an all-CCL final. I mean, you know, we talked about how good the OCC Ohio is. The CCL had 3 district final teams on Saturday. Watterson, DeSales, and Hartley then played each other. But, I mean, that's pretty impressive for their league as well.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be a busy time, and with spring starting up, we'll be even busier.
Absolutely, and you'll see all of our coverage. Don't forget to come to ThisWeekSports.com. Today, Jared Alry is covering Afrocentric. I will be covering Pick Central boys tonight and the girls tomorrow, and we'll see about Saturday. But whatever you need, come to ThisWeekSports.com. We thank the Ohio History Center for holding this exhibit. Come on down here. It opens on Saturday. Ohio Champion of Sports. We hope you enjoy this little sneak peek. For Frank DiRenna, I'm Dave Purpura. So long, everybody.